Welcome back to the Twin Spires Saturday Spotlight. I'm Vance Hanson, joined by James Scully. James, we've got a couple $1 million races this Saturday at Parx. The Pennsylvania Derby Grade 1 for 3-year-olds and the Cotillion Grade 1 for 3-year-old fillies. The Cotillion, a Breeders' Cup win in your in challenge prep for the distaff. But let's start with the Pennsylvania Derby. Unfortunately, we lost a little bit of star power earlier this week with Maximum Security's withdrawal due to a colon issue.
Yeah, definitely. It was sad to see him not running that spot. You know, he was last race he won the Haskell. Looked like he was on track for a big fall. Had a little bit of a foot or ankle issue leading into the Travers. They didn't enter him there, but everybody was like looking for his best in the Penn Derby. So huge disappointment. Sounds like they'll run him again next year. He could still run again this year, but a little bit in doubt with that physical issue. That leaves Improbable, Mr. Money, and some others in there. Still a solid field of 6.
Very solid, and I kind of like Mr. Money in this particular race. You know, he's won 4 in a row, winning some of the minor races in the Midwest like the West Virginia Derby and Indiana Derby, but he certainly looks fast enough here. Improbable is still not won beyond 1 1/16. I've been on his bandwagon multiple times in the past. I'm not quite ready to take another short price with him. And War of Will, the Preakness winner, you know, he did not run his very best in the Belmont or the Jim Dandy. You just never know when he's going to fire and when he's not going to fire. He's just a little too unpredictable for me. So I think Mr. Money, this is his opportunity and his field to step up.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. Improbable, a little worried about, you know, obviously looked good in the share belief. That was 1 mile, 1.125 is a big test for that city zip code. War of Will, just worried he might be a little bit over the top from where he was when he won the Preakness and earlier this year. And Mr. Money, you know, I had some concerns about like even 1.125 mile distance until that West Virginia Derby where he was super impressive, drew off nicely last race. This race could set up similarly with, like you mentioned, that outside post, a perfect trip, Gabe Sayas. Just expect him to be in a position to pounce at the top of the stretch.
Well, quickly moving on to the Cotillion now, we have a heavy favorite in Guarana who could almost cement 3-year-old filly championship honors with a victory here. She's probably going to be odds on, but the field is still pretty good. We have Kentucky Oaks winner Serengeti Empress, we have Street Band, we have the juvenile filly champion Jaywalk, who hasn't quite performed up to snuff this year. What do you make of this race?
It's an interesting race. I mean, Guarana definitely, I think the 3-year-old filly race will come down to her and her stablemate Dunbar Road, who won the Alabama. They're not going to run against each other, both trained by Chad Brown. So Guarana is coming off a 2-month layoff. She's got like 7 works in preparation. But my thing with her is that she's just shown so much speed so far. Worried a little bit about her trip because with Serengeti Empress at the rail, she's got to show speed. You think Jaywalk and post 11. There's other speed in there as well. If Guarana settles, she'll be tough to beat, but I'm going to take a stand and try with a horse at better odds in there, and it's Street Band. Coming in the Kentucky Oaks, I didn't think she was fast enough based on her fairgrounds races. They were sort of lower brisk speed ratings, but I think in her last 2 starts, her open length win in the Indiana Oaks, and in that third in that Alabama, where that pace was real slow, and I thought she was a little bit too close. You know, Sophie Doyle had trouble settling her. She still made a really nice run at the in mid-stretch, was in it to win it at that point, wound up 3rd. I think she's moving forward for Larry Jones, 96, 97 brisk speed ratings those last 2 starts, and I just think she's going to get the great setup. Might not be good enough to beat Guarana, but the race sets up for her in my estimation, and I'm picking Street Band.
Okay, let's talk about our wagers then. I think I'm going to stick with the Pennsylvania Derby here. I'm going to put $10 to win on Mr. Money, and then I'm going to do an exacta over Smarty Jones winner Spun to Run, who I thought was very game in his prep victory over that track, and he ran a pretty good 3rd to Maximum Security in the Haskell despite coming off a very long layoff. So I'm going to try and fade Improbable and War of Will altogether and go in that direction. How about you?
I'm going to bet Street Band. I'm going to bet $10 to win in place. You've been doing pretty good here of late, you know, but I'm going to get back on track and just go win place bet on Street Band.
Well, good luck, James, and good luck to all of you this weekend watching the Pennsylvania Derby and Cotillion. Join us again next week for the Saturday Spotlight.